Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today we have another round of Twitter users being offended by fictional content. This time a recently released game has caused a lot of controversy because one of the problematic themes contained within it has upset some people on social media. Now this image right here will either cause you some sort of shock and disgust or happiness depending on who you are. Now why is this image so polarizing? Well, these characters come from a recently released game on Steam called The Coffin of Andy and Lele. Now, I haven't personally played this game, but there have been a lot of people filling in the details about this horror game that have caused social media users to be offended. Now, let me read the description of this game before we get into everything. It says, walk and talk adventure with light puzzling. Brother and sister practice cannibalism after witnessing a botched satanic ritual. Now, what part of that is offending people the most, or what part of that is solely offending people? Well, spoiler alerts. At the end of the game, there's an optional route where the brother and sister character end up together. Now, that is what people are offended about. Not the gore, not the murder, not the satanic rituals, not the cannibalism, but this optional brother-sister relationship at the end of the game. That's what people are offended about, and that's where they're drawing the line. Now, this game has gotten a lot of attention from people because of its quality, but also because of this theme at the end of the game that has a lot of antis upset. And despite review bombing this game and all of the outrage on Twitter, you can see that the reviews are overwhelmingly positive with a 98% rating currently. To give you an example, this is higher than Baldur's Gate 3. However, despite all of that, people on Twitter have basically reduced this entire game to that brother-sister optional route, and they have ignored everything else contained within this game. And of course, if you are offended by that relationship between those characters in this fictional piece, that is completely fine, that is within your rights. However, to act like that is somehow different than other themes like cannibalism, for example, you're just kidding yourself. Those things are all meant to repulse and shock you. In fact, let's look at the definition of horror for those who seem to forget. Horror is a genre of literature, film, and television that is meant to scare, startle, shock, and even repulse audiences. If those themes contained in that optional route repulse you, that's fine. And if you don't like it, well, simply don't play the game, because this is a very little known secret about this game. So if that sort of stuff makes you uncomfortable, then just don't consume this game. But nonetheless, this is one of many tweets attacking this game. This user saying, me if I was a game for complete losers and weirdos. So instead of just moving on from a game that contains themes they don't like, they have to attack people who play it. And as usual, when I see people calling others losers and weirdos, I check out their account and instantly I see a tweet like this. Like, this person's supposed to be the authority on who's weird or not. I got news for you. It's pot calling the kettle black at this point. But moving on, this reply would be very important. So, in quotes, it says, the whole point is it's problematic, end quote. That's not how horror works. If you're going to showcase bad things in media, make sure it's shown as bad. I'm so tired of the weirdos excusing it with that, but then again, they don't care if it's weird, which, number one, it's exactly how horror works. And also, if you find these things weird and you like that it's weird, that's also okay. This is fictional horror. That's kind of what this is all about, right? But I think this is a pretty good response right here that I'm going to share. This quote saying, the fact that so many people in fandom right now are expecting horror media of all things, to present a clear life lessons for a good moral compass is unhinged to me, and shows just how far purity culture goes and never stops and just gets more and more absurd. That's right. The idea that the creators of this game have to show you that these themes, including the brother-sister route and the cannibalism and all that stuff, is bad, is ridiculous. You should know as a competent adult that these themes represent real-life counterparts that are bad and should not be replicated in real life. In fact, seeing this reminds me of something I studied many years ago. It is the Hays Code, which is actually very similar to a lot of different production codes that are a part of Hollywood films for many decades. And only about a century ago, I mean, these things were a requirement for films. You can see some of the values you had to uphold in order for your film to be produced in Hollywood. And really looking at these, the modern day Zoomers would agree with all of this. They just don't realize it yet. But in this case, films had to have a clear good guy winning and a clear bad guy always losing. The bad guy could never win, and the bad values could never be celebrated or triumphant in the film. It reminds me of one example. I don't remember the name of the film, but it was based on the Lizzie Borden murders of the 19th century. There was a daughter in real life who murdered her family with an axe, and there was a bunch of movies made in the 20th century about it. And one of the films was based on that, and basically in that film, the girl ends up murdering everyone. Her family, she murders everyone who's onto her. She gets away with it, right? And you're thinking there's only a few seconds left in the film. She's getting away with it. How is this not violating the Hays Code? Well, as she's walking away down a path towards her victory, quite literally and metaphorically, a bolt of lightning comes down from the sky and kills her. And then the film ends. And that got through to Hollywood because, well, as ridiculous as it was in the end, they showed that the bad guys and murder is wrong and they will never win. But it's ridiculous. It's an infantilization of viewers thinking they're so stupid that they need to be told that bad things are bad when they're in movies, when it's pretty obvious that they are to any competent adult. But someone would actually quote that previous response saying, you don't need to be an internet Puritan or whatever to expect horror media to not portray incest in a positive light. Now, again, I haven't played this game, but from everything I've heard, it's very obvious that this relationship between these characters is extremely volatile and toxic. It is not shown to be a good relationship, and with any media competency, it seems like it's saying this is a bad thing. This is the bad ending, okay? They're cannibals, and they're doing stuff like this. Does that not signal in your mind that it's not being shown in a positive light? But moving on, the one person who's talking about the problematic element in defense that people are using, they would also reply to a now deleted post. I'm not sure what it said, but they say that the dev literally made this, referring to the creators of this game, and it says cry about it with the brother and sister embracing each other. And just like anything else, the classic this you, and then they show like the most base thing ever. Like, yeah, I'm glad to see the developers doubling down on this theme that got a bunch of Twitter freaks upset. But many people would quote retweet this. First off, let's start with the threats. As per usual, not gonna lie, I'd beat the F out of the dev and everyone who supports this stuff. I have to start laying my hands on y'all. You're not okay. Like, this person's freaking out over this relationship in a fictional piece of content, but they're so violent that they're going to hurt people over it and are so impulsive about it they have to sit here and lay on their hands hoping they don't spurg out and hurt someone over this. This person saying this blank he crying about it when I spam his phone number with pictures of faces of people who game ended themselves with fireworks. Woo! That's edgy, dude. Wow. I bet they're shaking in their boots about this incoherent threat you're making. This person saying my honest reaction with a person pulling out a gun. This person saying, well, the dev can get his house nuked. How appropriate. This person then, we evolve into, of course, the accusation phase here. No way they got Epstein making games. I didn't know Epstein liked horror games involving these characters, but okay. This person saying, Jarvis, scan the hard drives of anyone who called this based. Now, this is a Fate Grand Order fan here, a fan of the Fate series. Now, while you're asking Jarvis, ask Jarvis to scan the archives of Fate and all of the incest themes that are contained within that franchise, then get back to us, okay? This person saying, how long do you think it will take for the dev to be outed as a sex offender? I give them 4 months. Once again, another tweet highlighting the depravity of Zoomers on Twitter who are gleefully excited and fantasize about situations where kids are being hurt at the expense of people they don't like online, just so they can validate not liking that person because of the fictional content they make. How about nobody get hurt? How about no kids get hurt in your little fantasy, and just say that you dislike this content and move on with your life without having the fantasy that you have here that is very, very disturbing, that you want this to happen. You seem excited about the possibility of this happening. This person saying, I think this game is a nice litmus test if you're pro ship or not. No normal person can excuse this from being weird. I love how they're treating this like a test to see if you have like a disease or something. Pro ship, once again, a person crying about pro ship without even knowing how the definition works. Like, the way they're using it here makes no sense, and well, that's hardly surprising. But this person then says, would be funny if we buy the game just to leave negative reviews. Oh God, I'm sure the developers would hate that. I'm sure they would absolutely hate that you'd pay them, I think, $10 for this game to leave a negative review. Oh, they would hate that. You should go do that right now. I'm sure they'd be crying about it. But nonetheless, I saw a lot of tweets like that saying, the incest game is starting to get on my nerves. Oh boy, what's going to happen if the developers find out it got on your nerves, Twitter user? Like, are they going to turn into a corn on the cob or something? Like, you know, that's the problem with Twitter users. They see something they don't like, and then they immediately share it with everyone and promote whatever they're complaining about. And this response really sums it up. They quoted that person saying, not my personal thing, but I'm glad they made this game because it shows something can go so hugely against social media moral watchdog Zoomer standards and still do well, and no amount of 100K likes, outrage tweets can stop its success. Exactly right. All it's doing is promoting it even more. I mean, think about examples. Some very clear ones like Hogwarts Legacy, okay? Like, all these people saying, let's leave negative reviews, let's boycott this game. Like, the harassment campaign from February, March wants its tactic back, okay? See how that went when they sold over $1 billion worth of copies. And this game is just gaining more and more attention. And at the end of the day, it's a good game, and a lot of the people actually playing it aren't offended by any of the themes contained within it because they understand it's something that is limited to fiction and doesn't condone any real-life counterpart that we all know is bad. But yeah, as this tweet points out here, look at some of these ratings in comparison. Right now, The Coffin of Andy and Lele sitting at a 98% rating on Steam, while games like Baldur's Gate 3, despite all of its success, are below that. That's pretty impressive. The gamers have spoken, ladies and gentlemen, and they are praising this game that Twitter is pretending to hate. But nonetheless, where do we go from here? Well, I'm excited to share this game. I'm sure a lot of you guys will check it out. And I've been under the weather the past couple of days, and I hinted at this in a tweet. But now that I am feeling better as of today, I will be streaming this game in the near future. So follow the Twitch handle above my head that a lot of you guys apparently don't see when you pop up to my streams for the first time. You're like, I didn't know you streamed. It's up above my head every single day, twitch.tv/RevUwoo. We'll stream this in the next week or two. I think it'll be really fun. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys giving a listen, and leave all your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.